What's up, guys? So I finally finished Deception this morning. It took me a while just because I had stopped reading it for a while. But it's finally done, and let's just jump right into the review, shall we? So that's pretty much it, and I'll talk to you guys later. I'm just kidding. Kind of. This book. I really don't know what to say about this book. Actually, I do know. The first thing I'm going to say about it is I'm going to talk about spoilers in this video. I'm going to talk about what the book is about, what you need to know, that stuff. Most of it is going to be the bad, because that's what it's pretty much filled with. But it is going to be spoilers, but I'm telling you right now, don't buy it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. You're only going to be frustrated and annoyed with it. If you're kind of new to Mass Effect and you don't know too much about it, and let's say you've only played like one game, or you've never read any of the books, and you're just like, oh, I don't really know too much about it, I just know it's a sci-fi, you might like it. You may not spot the errors, and I'm not talking about the grammatical errors. That's a whole other issue. But if you have played all the games, you know a lot of stuff about Mass Effect, you're a huge fan, you've read the previous novels, you've read the comics, and I mean, if you are one of those people that have read the books, especially that have read the books, don't get this book. It's gonna frustrate the hell out of you. Ugh. Before I hit the ending, I was kind of like, okay, there's a few issues here, there's a lot of grammatical errors, which I could, whatever, you know, that's really, really bad for a published novel to have so many errors grammatically. I don't even know how they published it. Probably nobody proofread it. Besides that, when I was towards the end, I mean, like I said, I was putting up with it. Some parts I was like, okay, the story's kind of, it's got potential. If I didn't like it, if I thought the story was boring, I would have stopped reading it. I was like, oh, you know, it's not too bad. It's not boring. It's not good, but it's not boring. My biggest issue was that he wasn't really writing the characters the way that they should be written. He wasn't really interpreting the characters the way that they are. Especially the established characters that already come from the previous games and the previous novels. He wasn't writing them well. It was just like, they wouldn't do that, or why did he do that, or why did he make them do that? That was my biggest issue. But when I started to hit the ending, I actually started to get offended. Like, I was just like, this book is offensive to a Mass Effect fan. BioWare should just treat this book like not canon. Like, say, this is not part of the lore. Like, you know, just ignore it. If you want to read it, but pretend this never happened in the Mass Effect universe. That's what BioWare should say. Because huge things happen in the end of the book where you're just like, this guy that has no idea about Mass Effect, that doesn't know anything about Mass Effect, because the way he wrote this book proves that, makes these huge decisions in the end that pissed me off. I was just like, are you serious? That is such disrespect. I mean, you guys know how much I love Mass Effect. It's disrespectful for somebody to write a novel about a topic that they have no idea what it's about, can't interpret the characters that we all know and love for so long. They don't even have that respect for the fans, and they're treating this as lore, as canon, because Casey Hudson already said that this ties into Mass Effect 3. So you can't pretend this didn't happen. Let me just talk a little bit about it. I've got all these inconsistencies. No, I'm just kidding. It's just, these are the inconsistencies that I spotted. I will talk about the good, and I'll talk about the bad. Trust me, the good is probably like going to be maybe 3 sentences long. And the bad, that's longer. So this is going to be most likely a rant. The minute I finished this book, I wanted to throw it out the window. Like, I was fuming. I wanted to do this video right then and there because I was, but it's a good thing I didn't, because I'd be screaming. I'd be like, ah! I would have left that in the trash. Now, for those of you that have read it and liked it, I apologize. Don't feel bad. I didn't like the book, but I could understand those of you that like it because, like I said, if you don't know too much about Mass Effect, you probably won't spot a lot of errors, and that's okay. That's fine. But here are some issues that I have. Like I said, the biggest issue that I had with the book was how bad this author, this guy, is at interpreting the characters. At first, I wasn't paying too much attention at the way that he was writing Collie Sanders. Collie Sanders is the main character of all the previous Mass Effect novels. She was in Revelation, she was in Ascension, and she was in Retribution, and she's in this one. She was never in any of the games or any of the comics, only in the books. So I wasn't really paying attention at the way that he was writing her, because I was like, okay, she's an established novel character. But I was paying more attention to the way that he was writing the characters that were already established through the games. Like Anderson, Arya, those big characters that we all love. Those big characters that mean so much to us. That's what really, I was reading it, and every time I would come up with, I would read this thing that I was just like, why? First, let me tell you the gist of the story, because really the most important thing about this book is just like 3 things, and maybe even just 2 things. I mean, it starts off, the beginning starts off almost like, ooh, what is this about? Starts off that Kai Lang, the Cerberus, he's a Cerberus operative. He's like the head of security almost, I guess you could say. He's like a ninja. He's got these crazy martial arts skills. He's an assassin, your ultimate assassin. He's kind of like the Elusive Man's right-hand man, because he's so loyal to the Elusive Man. He'd do anything for the Elusive Man. And the Elusive Man takes advantage of that because he's like, I've got a really powerful sidekick or ally here. Kai Lang, in the beginning, he's trying to get a hold of this biological weapon that can only trigger a specific genetic code. So, and it's a biological weapon that only triggers the genetic code of the Elusive Man or any family member of the Elusive Man. And I was just like, oh, I thought that was going to be a big issue in this book. Like that, because that's how it started. And then they talked about this Prothean egg that when you opened it, there was a map of an unknown galaxy, and it must have been really important to the Protheans, and this mysterious Asari got it, and I was just like, oh, this is going to be interesting, you know? This Asari, like hooded Asari, and I was like, oh, who is it going to be? Maybe it's going to turn out to be a Liara or something, or maybe this is going to be in Mass Effect 3 or something like that. They mentioned that in the beginning. Do you think they mentioned it in the rest of the book? Nothing. They said it in like 1 page, and that's it. It's just like, oh, pff, bye. You guys are wondering what happened with that? Well, too bad. I was like, what the? Why did they even start it like that? If they weren't going to talk about it anymore. It was pointless. Pointless. Now, that might be mentioned in Mass Effect 3. Maybe. If it is, okay. But if it's not, you might as well just rip the first chapter out. If you've seen some of my videos in the past, I have talked about a character called Paul Grayson. Paul Grayson is a character that was introduced in Ascension, the second novel of Mass Effect. And he's a huge character in the books. I'm not going to go too much into this because I'm going to do a video where I talk specifically about the characters, the novel characters. But Paul Grayson, he was a Cerberus operative as well, and he pretty much turned against the Elusive Man because of his his non-biological daughter. This girl is Jillian Grayson. She's a very strong biotic. She came out in Ascension as well. The Elusive Man got Jillian when she was a baby, and she had this really strong biotic ability, and the Elusive Man pretty much gave the baby to Paul Grayson and told him, take care of this baby. And, you know, inject her with this stuff, and so that her biotics could be even stronger. So she was a Cerberus. Think of Jack, kind of like that. But instead of growing up in this horrible facility, she was growing up in this biotic academy for children that was called the Ascension program. And Kali was one of the instructors, or one of the people in charge of the Ascension program. So that's who Paul Grayson is. And Paul Grayson turned against the Elusive Man because he started to really care for his daughter, and he was like, this is wrong, like, I'm not going to be doing this anymore, and he just turned against the Elusive Man. In Retribution, the third novel, he was already against the Elusive Man, and the Elusive Man was out looking for him. Like, he was like, oh hell no, like, he's not going to get away with this, because he pretty much took Jillian away from the Elusive Man. He pretty much gave the finger to the Elusive Man, saying, you got nothing on me. And nobody does that to Elusive Man. What happened with Jillian, Kali and the head of security of the Ascension program, his name is Hendel Mitra. Kali, Jillian, and Hendel leave the Ascension program with the help of Paul Grayson. Paul Grayson's like, you guys gotta get out of here and take Jillian some far away, because the Elusive Man might continue looking for her. Take her far away, keep her safe, and I'll flee. So what they do is, Hendel ends up being the guardian of Jillian, and they get refuge in the Quarian fleet, in the flotilla, and they stay there for years. Kali, on the other hand, she's off doing her own. She's a scientist, her own thing. She doesn't see Hendel or Jillian for a long time, and she continues doing her work. In Retribution, the third novel, the one before this one, the Elusive Man catches up to Paul Grayson. He finds him, and Paul Grayson is now working for Aria on Omega, and he's hiding out. And he went by the name Paul Johnson. I don't know, not too brilliant there. The Elusive Man sends Kai Lang to capture Paul Grayson. And he does. He ends up capturing Paul Grayson and taking him back to the Elusive Man, and that's when the Elusive Man implants Paul Grayson with Reaper technology and pretty much turns him into this super husk. Not drone-ish. He still has a lot of his willpower, his own will, and he's more capable of doing more stuff. He's stronger. He becomes very strong in biotics. But the Reapers are, controlling him. So that's what happens to Paul Grayson. Paul Grayson, throughout the book in Retribution, fights the Reapers. His trying to keep his own will, but by the end he's taken over by the Reapers, and Paul Grayson ends up getting killed by Kai Lang. And Kai Lang ends up getting hurt. He gets shot in the legs, and he ends up fleeing, but he gets hurt pretty bad. So that's just a little bit of background that you need to know so that I could talk about this book. I think this one, this book is very, very confusing because I don't know where it falls into the timeline of Mass Effect. It obviously fits before the Invasion comic, the last comic series, the one about Arya. It's before that, but it doesn't tie into that spot. It's just like, it doesn't fit there. Even if it does go there, it doesn't fit because of the things that happen. So that's one inconsistency, that it doesn't fit in the timeline. Jillian is now, when the last time we saw her in Ascension, because she wasn't in Retribution, in Ascension she was like 13, I think, 12 or 13, And in this book, she comes out again, and she is now 18. There was another student in Ascension named Nick Donahue. And Nick was, he was also about 13 or something like that when Ascension was going on. Nick came out in Retribution as well. He got shot in the end and blah, blah, blah. He didn't come out too much, but he did come out. And in this book, he comes out and he plays a bigger role. He's now like 18 also. And he's staying with Collie and Anderson. Collie and Anderson are in a romantic relationship. They're together. And it starts off with Anderson and Collie are going to talk to the council on Citadel. They're going to show them Paul Grayson's body because they kept Paul Grayson's body. And he's like all reaperized and everything, but he's dead. So they want the council to see Paul Grayson's body so that they could, see that the Reapers are real. Look what the Reapers did. Even though it was Cerberus that implanted this stuff with it, the technology was Reaper. So that's how it starts off. And Nick is with them. And while they're going to talk to the council, Collie tells Nick, stay here, just wait here in the waiting room and we'll be right back. But he doesn't stay there. He leaves. And when Collie comes back, she's like, what the hell? Where is he? They go through this huge investigation. They're like, we don't know where he is. He's missing. And it turns out they look at security footage. Turns out that Nick joined this gang called the Biotic Underground. And they are trying to take over the council because they want, instead of having a different race council representing the galaxy, they want to have biotics representing the galaxy. And Nick left and joined them. And they're all worried, and Collie's like, oh no. So Anderson comes up with a brilliant idea. I got an idea, let's go undercover, he tells Collie. Let's go undercover and we'll go to like the slums of the Citadel and we'll look for this slave dude, this Batarian that transports slaves, and he's probably the one that helps Nick and these other two biotics get off the Citadel. So he's like, let's go undercover, I'm gonna be this like top-notch what was he, like a businessman, and you're gonna be my girlfriend. And she's like, ooh, you're naughty admiral. And I was just like, and Anderson wouldn't do that. First of all, Anderson would not do that. Anderson is not a stupid idiot or a goofball. He was made to seem like a goofball in this book. Anderson is smart. He's strategical. So they do this stupid undercover thing. They go in to talk to the slaver, and the slaver knows right off the bat that they're lying to him, that they're not who they say they are, because Anderson took the name of this guy that they had just killed yesterday. And he's like, you're not that one guy, we killed him yesterday. And Anderson's like, oh, don't be me, I should have thought that before. That was so stupid. And they end up fighting each other and all this, and they make him look, and they give Anderson the worst lines, like, Collie goes over to see if he's okay because he's fighting with this Batarian, and Anderson is like, he hit his head on the ground like 3 times, like, like. Later they get caught, like Anderson, right after the fight, the C-Sec shows up, and they're like, Anderson, like, that's not right. You guys are gonna go, and you guys are gonna go to jail. Like, that was not right. You're not supposed to do that. Like, you should have told me, and I would have come. And we were already keeping tabs on this guy. Like, we could have come and helped you. And I was like, why didn't the real Anderson would have done that? He would have said, hey, do you know this slaver, this Batarian slaver? And they would have said, oh yeah, we're keeping tabs on him. Oh, well, No, they had to go do that pointless undercover thing that didn't even work. It was pointless. So they stay in jail for like a day or something like that. You know what this book is mostly about? Everybody eating. I swear, everybody's always eating. It's like, oh, well, we have nothing better to do. We have nothing better to do. Let's go have breakfast. And then it's later, well, it's already getting late. Let's go have dinner. That is an elementary way of writing. That means somebody doesn't know what to write. They don't know how to fill the pages. So they put them eating freaking food in restaurants or in the house, and they're just like, they're writing them walking and putting stupid pointless things in here.